is clear that our culture is also one that values caring, is it not? So I'm going to talk to you today about some perspectives of UUSM culture from a relative newcomer. Culture is defined as a pattern of behavior shared by a society, a group of people. Many things make up a group's culture, and they include language, clothing, music, art, tools, foods, customs, and beliefs. And all groups have such a culture, families, organizations, and congregations as well. When I first came to UUSM in 2022 in October, so just over a year, all of these aspects of our culture were new to me, including the belief, because I was also new to Unitarian Universalism. If I look back on these early visits, some of those elements that make up culture stood out to me right away, and I can give you some relevant anecdotes. For language, I noticed on my very first visit that the minister, who happened to be Reverend Tovis visiting as a guest minister, used the term beloved community. And Jack used it this morning, and I heard that phrase. I'd never heard it before anywhere, and I said to myself, I like that. I want to be that. I want to be part of that. And then for art, there was a large banner in Beck Hall where we were holding services at the time, and it had the text that started, "Science is real and Black Lives Matter." And those concepts matter to me too, especially during the pandemic as it was. And seeing that banner there, large and prominently displayed, was a big plus. I found myself looking at it almost in wonder a few times during that service. And even clothing caught my eye. I noticed a lot of casual attire in the congregation, and then some members dressing up. And that range felt really comfortable to me. I could do that. And I know that others pick up on these things, because just a few weeks ago, as I was walking to Sunday service, I passed a couple on the street. And when the service concluded, I looked around and I happened to see them there. They had been visitors. So I went over, I said hello, and one of them said to me with a smile, "I thought you were going to this direction when I passed them, because I was dressed like a UU." I can do that. So I think back with wonder on how quickly a person can take in clues of these elements of culture without even consciously thinking about it. In just a single visit, they may know whether they're going to come back or not. And after just a few visits, they may have already decided whether the culture of the congregation fits into their lives. Well, after that first Sunday, I did decide to come back, and I attended more services, and I eventually became a member, and then I eventually became a worship associate. I found other elements of the culture at UUSM worked for me. The music, as we see today, was varied and interesting, and the food at Connections Hour was excellent. Very good reason to stay for a Connections Hour. But there is, of course, more to learn, because I really still am relatively new. And there is one element that continues to interest me, and it's the way this congregation uses the decision-making tool of voting. Because the UU Fifth Principle calls for the use of the democratic process in our congregations, I'm not surprised that this congregation votes, but I am intrigued as to what we vote on and what comes to us for a vote. I'm sure that different UU congregations have different kinds of things to vote on, and it isn't obvious to me as a newcomer how voting fits into that decision-making process. There are lots of things that are not obvious to a newcomer, and if you've been here longer than I have, you've found that I often ask how to participate in an event like flower communion or the circle dinners even. Or I may ask why we do something in a particular way. My questions give me what I need to join in the congregation, and then also to contribute. Healthy cultures cherish traditions and then selectively update or adopt new ways of doing things as the environment changes and as new members and their perspectives and contributions are welcomed. I'm sure rather, that I am not alone in wanting more newcomers and wanting them to benefit from our culture and to contribute to our culture at UUSM. So a few years from now, I would love to see a variety of people who were new, but are then contributing to the congregation and speaking from the pulpit because they visited one Sunday and found in UUSM a loving community with a vibrant and welcoming culture. I want to encourage those future contributions, just as you have encouraged my contributions.